Hey, we are so glad you are here. Let's give them a hand, Michelle. Joining us live or recorded. I'm Theresa Croft. This is Michelle Tufford, as you know so well. And this is Faith in Business, which my cat just did something. So if I'm a little erratic, because I got a cat right here. Anyway, we're so glad to join us. And we are really excited about our topic.
Yes.
About clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the Lord just keeps highlighting this to me, and I got to bring it up when the Lord is like bringing something to my mind over and over again, because I know it's probably not just for me. Oftentimes it's not, right? When especially as we're preparing for sharing, the Lord knows, like, okay, I'm going to funnel my message through, right? So we're just going to keep this topic going and talk about clarity, because I feel like oftentimes, we talk about faith in business. I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with when it comes to our businesses is following the Lord's direction, right? And so we want clarity, right? We oftentimes we pray for that in our businesses, and that is something we definitely want to take to the Lord. We want to seek the Lord's direction for how we're moving and the decisions that we're making. But the thing that the Lord really highlighted to me in regards to this is, when it comes to clarity, are we seeking clarity out of almost a lack of faith? Because there's an element of trusting the Lord in movement forward that doesn't always have to require a step by step, especially when we look at like wanting to see like quite a few steps ahead. But I think there's oftentimes opportunity where we actually need to move in order for the Lord to continue to guide and direct us. So kind of like hanging in this, I came across a story I would love to share about Mother Teresa. Okay, so this is where it kind of came up for me again. I heard this story about an interaction that Mother Teresa had with a gentleman named John Kavanaugh. Now, John Kavanaugh actually came to spend some time with Mother Teresa at a place called the House of the Dying. So this is a place that Mother Teresa was working at, and John Kavanaugh really just had this heart, like he wanted to come and really learn like how to the best spend the rest of his life. Like he just wanted to be around Mother Teresa, as she's like working with these people who are like at the last stages of their life. And so he actually asked Mother Teresa for prayer. And so Mother Teresa asked him, like, well, what would you like me to pray for you? And he said to her, he said, clarity, pray that I have clarity. But then Mother Teresa surprisingly responded with no. She said no. And the reason why is, she said, is that clarity, she said, this clarity is the last thing that you are clinging to and that you must let go of. And then John Kavanaugh mentioned to her, he said, when I look at you, you just seem like you have such clarity in your life. And you're just like, that's just something that I'm looking for. So Mother Teresa then responded, she laughed at him and just said, I've never had clarity. She said, what I've always had is trust. So she said, so I will pray that you will trust God. And that story just like hit me, right? Because how often are we, and I don't think clarity is a bad thing. It's not like we would want to seek the Lord, but at what point does that need to turn to trust and praying for more trust in our lives? And so I thought, man, there's got to be people out there who are in a space right now in your business where you're just clinging to just seeking the Lord, and you're like, Lord, why aren't you giving me clarity? Right? But maybe what he wants is for you to actually change your heart to, Lord, give me more trust.
I think this fits. Sometimes it's from the time I get up in the morning, muffled hair, to my coffee pot, to sitting down. In between that space, sometimes I get hit with darts. And so and I'm going before the Lord often for clarity. I'm praying, I'm talking to him, and then I'm just having a good old, that's my time with God. But Michelle, it was maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I sat down and I got hit. I thought, oh my, in 20 years, I'm going to be 80 years old. And then who's going to take care of me? And then Oh man, I wasted 26 years. A marriage that's just knocked me off track. So do you know that God, in his amazing thing, gave me clarity on all that? And I needed some clarity. I needed some trust. And yeah, I love it how God just happens to have the right verses, happens to have the right devotionals. So what really solidified and calmed me down, got me back, got me off the ledge, I'm the emotional ledge. Just think of Theresa on the ledge. Oh my God, I'm excited. She's coming 80 years old. And he showed that, I guess the kicker was this verse in Colossians where how do I say this? He defeated the darkness of evil, and he transferred us from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light, is basically. But when it says in Colossians he transferred us into the kingdom of Jesus Christ, he transferred us. So immediately, and God says, what's the kingdom, Teresa? It's joy, love, faith, joy, righteousness, and the Holy Ghost. So I don't know if I'm right now. And I'm like, that's good. He says, Theresa, you're living in the kingdom, girl. No matter, yes, you're living in world and you got physical body, but you're not waiting to die to get into the kingdom. You are in the kingdom right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had to, I had to process that. But to say that I was trying to get clarity on something from a fleshly term. I am 60 years old. For some reason, this age has really knocked off my chair. But I really was trying to get clarity. Okay, 20 years is a lot of years, but it's not. And I have goals. I want my GPA business to grow. I want to have an impact in artificial intelligence. So sometimes you're not gonna have any clarity, but just watch how God, and I love how you say it is clarity in trusting God. And I could talk about clarity of your physical voice, clarity of your business, but I love it, Michelle. You always come out of the gate with something that really ties us to the Lord Jesus. And we're not about religion, y'all. We're about a relationship with God. So you just come out of the gate with it. I love that. So
I mean, it just goes back to when we talk about identity, right? We're finding
oh yes,
identity because our posture of position in the Lord, like who we are as heirs, right?
right.
We are daughters and kings,
Much
right?
daughters.
So when we're in that position and we believe and we're grounded and rooted in that position, like that's where we operate from, right? In our businesses, the way that we move. And I believe that's why the Lord is like continuing to highlight this to me around, like, do I really need clarity when I know I'm just walking out as the daughter of the king? Like if I stay rooted and I stay connected to him, I'm not going to get it wrong. Like we can't get it wrong when you're rooted and connected. It's when we try and go in our own strength, when we try and operate on our own. But it's like if we're tied to and walking hand in hand with the Lord, you're not gonna go wrong. Like the Lord won't even let you. Like so
someone needs to write that down, because that was a mic drop. You're not gonna get it wrong.
No.
God's not up there.
Not when your heart is
when your heart, that's true. When your heart's coming from a pure place. Yeah. I always like to talk about clarity of your voice, your physical voice. And I remember I used to do this teaching about aligning your voice to heaven. Obviously, there's trust, but when you align your voice with heaven and you come from the overflow of your time with him, your overflow, then you truly are. There's an alignment that comes that affects all areas of your life. It affects you talking to your kids. It affects you talking to your husband, and talks with how you market online if you're someone like that. And I know we got a lot of women that are marketers that are watching. And sometimes you got to ask yourself, do I have clarity? Am I in alignment? Is something out of alignment? Am I holding some judgment? Am I holding some unforgiveness? Tough subjects, but must be addressed, because if that will knock you off quicker than anything, those things, or judgment. You can have judgment for something good. You could see someone making lots of money and like, oh, they just making way too much money. You're passing judgment. It's not going to hurt them. It's going to hurt you.
Mm.
So it could be judgment. It could be jealousy. I mean, you could start, don't do this. Don't do the scroll. I
Yeah.
mean, scroll with purpose. That'll give you clarity. I mean, some days I'm a little chilling out but the minute I get triggered, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna put that down.
Ooh, yeah.
Get
And
that.
those are good opportunities to really reflect, though. I feel like, anytime there's a trigger, uh,
Yeah.
and something comes up like that, it's like such a good opportunity for us to then take that to the Lord and say, "Lord, this triggered me. What is going on? Like that we need to uproot, like that you want to uproot in my life so that we can move past." Because I believe that there may be times where we're not seeing breakthrough because the Lord still needs to do some uprooting, like needs to take some weeds out that are going on. So those triggers are indication of areas of your life that you're like, okay, this is an area the Lord is working on me. I may not see that breakthrough until we deal with this. And
Mm,
so I think it's been really cool to see how the Lord has been using that in my business
that's
of
cool.
things that still trigger me. I'm like, why is this still triggering me? I'm changing my heart posture from being
Okay.
frustrated to being more like,
Oh,
okay, Lord, like, I wanna humble myself in this scenario and say, "I know this is an area that I want you to work out in my life and in my heart, and I love that you are keeping me in this space because
mm,
you are protecting me because I'm not ready." And I want to release these things so that you can help me move forward. Because I think a lot of us are stuck in blocks
yeah.
because there are areas of our life we haven't let go or acknowledged or let
Mm,
to work out in us, and we can see challenges in a new way. I'm not perfect at this, but I'm learning how to see gratitude in the challenge because I
yes.
see how the Lord is working stuff out in me and
Good.
refining me. It's like that refiner's fire, right? Of like
Yeah.
it's painful and it's hard, but I know like what if we give ourselves to that process and say, Lord, like you've downloaded these big dreams on my heart for where you see me going. Like, I'm going there.
Mm,
But in order to get there, I've got to go through this refiner's fire. So then I don't want to resist. I don't want to resist the challenge. I want to press into it and say,
mm,
okay, Lord, like I'm pressing into this. I know you're going to help me get through it. But help me surrender to the process. Because if I surrender to that process, we're going to see breakthrough faster. Is when we drag our feet and we shy away from the challenge that we maybe stay stuck longer, right?
that's so good. I like that you right away at the top of the podcast that you put in trust in inside clarity with that story. And I was looking. We talked Michelle through the idea of clarity, and I thought, wow, that's such a good word. So I was thinking about clarity and communication, and okay, from a place of trust. And I love the fact that it's empathetic is considered in that. Uh,
Mm,
clear communication fosters trust. And I also think in the midst of communicating, when you're sharing your story at the
mhm,
right time, like for example, you could come to someone and you just need to be heard and they just need to be heard. So that's not a time to overstep them and give them your story. It's a time to listen. Listening can be a form of communication. But I love the idea that that you can use when you got an opening and someone's really asking your advice. I think the power of a story, we could say testimony. Testimony in Hebrew means do it again. The power of saying, hey, I was here. Let
yeah.
me tell you a story how God, bridged the gap for me. Or you're afraid of money. You think you don't have enough money to invest in this business. Let me tell you a story of how God provided while I bootstrapped the business. Or let me tell you a story of how God provided. I was able to use some smart credit and pay that credit back.
Mhm.
There's just so many different things that can really be struggling, but I love that you tied, let's get some clearness, let's get some clarity on it, but ultimately let's trust God and see how he's going to
Mm,
allow us to communicate that to someone. That's just beautiful, Michelle.
yeah. I love how Michelle Schaefer actually brought this up on one of our calls
Okay.
recently
Yeah.
about authenticity.
Ooh.
And I think it goes along with what we're talking about clarity and
Mm,
about trust and about how we're showing up and sharing, right? And how it ties into our businesses too.
right.
Because there's too much of this, like, filtered I mean, I'm guilty,
Mhm.
I've used filters, okay? I'm actually on a no filter thing right
I
now.
can't do it.
I'm
I tried.
guilty, right, Teresa?
I tried. We're both on the same challenge. I
Yeah.
had to put a filter on yesterday.
Oh, that's
And
okay.
okay, thank you for the grace. I try not to use ones that are so
I get
filtered. I try to use a little more. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
well, with
That's
that,
challenging.
like, recognizing, like, when we're real, right, and authentic, right, how
Yeah.
much more there's a humility that can come with that, right? That we almost have to have with that. The Lord can use that, and also with when it comes to our businesses, like, how much I think people are craving it. They're like they want real, right?
They
And
so craving it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like we gotta there's a lot of discernment that has to play in
Yeah.
as we're operating through social media and working in
Yeah.
our businesses and things. And so that authenticity, I would just say for anyone who's like listening right now, I think that's one of your strongest marketing tools is just
Yeah.
be authentic. And even when you talked about sharing your story, I believe that the more authentic that we can be and also not, holding back. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of holding back that's happening, but when we're really partnered with God and
Yeah.
He gives us direction to move forward and to share, to
Yeah.
share with boldness, to share with authenticity, um, that it maybe check why maybe you're starting to feel some of those things that are holding you back. Like really take those to the Lord and say, Lord, like I'm feeling a little fearful. I'm feeling, a little imposter syndrome coming up and creeping in. But taking those things to the Lord, man, it's all part of that refiner's fire of like helping us to be more bold and to share that message. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
I love that. I really am glad that you brought that up as far as, I think this is this video is on a very powerful marketing community along with some other places, but and that authenticity is so powerful. So are your stories. So this is what I finally realized. If you told your story once, you're like, well, I've already told that story. No, you don't know who's coming across. If that's a powerful story and that's anchoring you in a kingdom impact that has a clear communication, don't be afraid to share the story again. You're getting different people.
Mhm.
Like I was like, I've used rest to run that story, but like, no, it's okay. And I think what that does is you're not just setting goals, you're setting a heart posture. Thank you, Michelle, where you're
Mhm.
trusting God. You're coming from this place of trust, and you know you need to grow your business. So you know you need to get on social media.
Mhm.
Not just behind a slideshow, but really get your face in front of there.
That's good.
That may freak you out, but do you want to grow your business? I
Right?
heard you could put a reel up and don't ever delete a reel because you never know. Somewhere, apparently, there's an algorithm for reels where
Mhm.
you may show up somewhere else. And I will say this, I've noticed this. I'm so glad they have improved. Sorry, you can talk to me about techie stuff. Instagram has improved their audio and their video. The reason I'm excited is maybe ask someone to go live with you on Instagram. I went live at almost half the year with my friend Alana. We had a mental live, and we went on yesterday for the first one for 2024. And I always download them and then save them for when she has her YouTube. I was like, ah, this is so awesome. I mean, the clarity and the audio. I'm sorry, that'll get me excited.
So good. Yes,
Oh,
finally.
I really so there's no excuse why I don't look good. Use a little filter. I do. I'm sorry. I'm 60, but don't make it like it's not you. I've done that too. I was like, I remember one time I did a live and I felt like apologizing every second because it was just
Oh,
off the wall. But I have my basic ones that aren't too much. But I
yeah.
say all that to say when you're in harmony with God and you're trusting God, and we're talking business, okay, girls, we're going to just lay it on you. And God's giving you a business, and right now you don't want to go into paid ads. I understand that's a pretty tough thing to learn. But I also understand look at who's sitting next to me. She's the queen of being able to harvest heart souls, bring them in a group, give them freedom, and then she can just pop in. Your group is amazing. If you're from her group, clapping you up too. That's just an example. I mean, I think we shouldn't be afraid to talk marketing, because these are women, either they're with Girl Power Alliance or they're with their own business. I'm with both. I have my own business and I have Girl Power Alliance. Yeah, you can. Now, how do I say this? I understand. If you went back to my YouTube, like 2012, 10, you would see, hi, I'm Theresa Croft, all the wrong things. So there's room for growth. And even if no one watches, you can chalk it up. I did it. What do you say to that? What do you say?
Oh, yes. I mean, goodness, everyone has to start somewhere, and give yourself grace in the process. Don't compare yourself to other people, but really ask yourself those good questions of like, why am I here? What's my what's my purpose in showing up on social media? There should, initially for me, it was like, I just know I needed to build a business. I needed to make money, and those aren't bad things, right? But it evolved over time. It grew into, wow, like the Lord then was able to download some things in me to really leverage it for ministry. Had I not started in the motivation of just making money for my family, I wouldn't be here today. So it was like all purposed for God's plan, right? But now I can do both. Like, I'm growing and building business and also leveraging for ministry. We have such a, like, what a better way, what better time, I should say, to grow and build a business than right now. Your reach. All you have to do, and I say all you have to do, and this is maybe harder said than done, but is to show up, be consistent, be real, be authentic, share your heart, share, like Theresa said, like, I was there and now I'm here, right? That's
Ooh,
your
good
message.
one. Yeah.
That's your person. You're extending your hand back and saying, I know what it's like to be where you are. And here's what I found to help me go from where you are to this next step. Right.
So,
That's really, that's your most powerful marketing message you could have. And then create space
yeah.
for community is one of my favorite things, like growing and building and community in a Facebook group, but just building relationships with people and pointing them to solutions. Like, that's really, when it comes to businesses, we serve people with our businesses, right?
Yeah, so good. You said something really powerful. You said you started in motivation. What comes first, action or motivation? Action starts first. Then, as you go in action, you can look for motivation. And then, write this down: imperfect action is better than no action.
Every time. That was
Imperfect action. If I didn't make action, if imperfect as it was to put up my 3 devotionals, they'd still be in my computer. What good is that?
yeah.
Another
It's
thing, go ahead. I'll go ahead and bring in.
I with that, right? I
Say,
always said it was always messy action. Like, even that, I was like, I just gave myself permission from the beginning to show up messy.
I
Like,
understand that.
there was something about it that just like disarmed it for me. I was like,
It's so
all
good.
right, here we are taking messy action. And now I wouldn't call what I do messy anymore. I mean,
Right.
like,
Because,
there's a
yeah,
refining that happens, but it gave me the like permission. I was like, just
so
give
good.
myself permission. It's okay if it's messy. Just show
Yeah,
up.
that is so good. And because, yeah, that's the imperfect action is better than no action. It may be messy, and even I remember back. I told myself I'd do 3 lives on Facebook. This is back in 2016, 17, 18. Back then, you could go live on Facebook, and boom, you had 1,000 people watching you. It's not like that anymore.
No.
But the motivation to do that 3 times a week has helped me to the point where I am now. That was 2007, 16, 17, 18. Now, I mean, get Michelle and I together, we can't stop talking. Now I know to look into the little dot, not at myself. If I look down here, it's because I want to see, like, little tips. Don't
Yeah.
look at yourself on the screen. They can look at that tiny little dot. If you've got a camera, look at inside that camera. and speak, or he's just giving you little tips. And then I did see this, and I was very excited because AI tools, artificial intelligence, and then I'm speaking from experience, can bring so much clarity for content creation, market research,
Yeah.
writing. Do you know what I did for the title and the description of this particular? I was in a hurry. Sometimes I can wing it out and put a title in. I thought I need some help. So I said, give me a description, ChatGPT. Hey, give me 3 headlines to choose from, ChatGPT. So what you see on the side or up above, I had to I call him, I know it's it, but I call him him. He just knocked it out of the ballpark for me. And I'm really excited if you're a part of Girl Power Alliance or a reason to be part of Girl Power Alliance. This is what I like about Girl Power Alliance. They are a premier group for professional women who want to gain compensation by teaching and leading women in leadership, personal professional development, coaching, speaking. They're so on the edge. They said we needed an AI, a chat. We need we need an artificial intelligence course. Just so they're on the cutting edge. They're not putting their hand in the sand. They're saying we got to arm these ladies with all the things they need. And you know what I love about it? I can think of some moms that want to rather spend with their babies than be here trying to create content. Now they're going to have a basic tool, basic instructions on how they can make content. They can make a week's content in 1 hour using ChatGPT responsibly. You check to make sure it's true. You don't copy and paste. You got to put yourself in there. But oh my goodness, can you tell I get excited about that?
I mean, I love it. I've been kind of dabbling in it. I
Yes.
can't wait to take your course, by the
Yes, I
way.
hope that'll make sense, I
It's
think.
gonna, like, help me take it to the next step, but it really does. It can be such a powerful tool, right?
Yeah.
That, man, if it helps get more of the message out there, right? Like you said, it's just like we're just maximizing, kind of being more efficient with the message, with the time, and expanding it. It's just like expanding what's already, and when you use it correctly, right, Teresa? I'm like, you can
Use
kind
it
of
correctly, yeah.
uses your voice, and now it's just expanding your message
And
beyond what you could do by yourself.
and when it comes to content creation, when you get that part done quickly, then you can focus on those things you really want to focus on inside your business or out. You know,
Mhm. We got a question. Constance said, I think she's maybe meaning, how do I take the course?
uh,
Uh,
I'll show you. I'm going to do a webinar. Mark this date down, Constance. Uh, Thursday, February 25th. I'll do a webinar, and I'll do a webinar every month. I'll give you a quick win, show you what it's about. And that's just for Chat GPT. Do we have any people who want a podcast and want to just get it off the ground? I have a course called Podcast Made Easy with AI. Use Michelle and our podcast as an example in some parts of it. So yeah, the constance, the fact that you're even asking in your heart, you're like, hey, I want to be on the cutting edge. God's called me. I've got a voice. I want to make a kingdom impact. That's why I think about it when I'm finally finished with this course. But it's like, what am I trying to do? It's kingdom impact. It's helping them with their business. It's helping them find their ideal client. I think that would be is that not just one of the number one market stuff? And then learning your voice so you can speak to them where they know you, they like you, they trust you, and then they buy or from you. They know, hey, okay, this person's selling watches over here and they got good watches, but they're just kind of bland. But this person's selling watches and they're talking and they're excited about their brand. Who are you going to buy from? Another example, I love coffee. And I remember this time where I lived, we had Starbucks and we had McDonald's. Where did I go? I went into Starbucks because I wanted to feel that was the brand. I wanted to feel that sense that you get. I wanted to smell the coffee and nut burgers. And it was just, I had so many good meetings in Starbucks. Brand. I mean, we could talk another about brand, but how about creating that?
Yeah.
And, I go to a large mastermind, and Jen Gottlieb wrote this book called Be Seen. And to me, it takes the pressure off because she constantly says, help one person every day, be seen. don't be afraid. I come from a marriage where I was criticized for being seen on social media. But if you know that you won't know that you want to be on the cutting edge and really be able to do it in less time, I'm sorry, I could talk forever.
I love it. It's just like bringing so much value. I know there's some ladies here saying that they're
Gary's
interested.
podcast made easy. Awesome. DM me on Instagram. I'll give you a free resource and I'll let you know. If you get that free resource, then I'll let you know when. I don't know if this webinar is going to be just on probably just the Chat GPT made easy, but I'm going to have webinars every month because I want to serve you. I want to see you get served. And there are courses, by the way, that you can, when I say podcasting made easy, I give you every step and I show you how easy it is with AI. I'm so excited about that. I have 10 interviews coming up. Am I freaking out? No, I got AI. I'll just, I'll do them live and throw them into, you know?
I think definitely for those who identify as an overthinker, this is ChatGPT and what Theresa's going to be sharing help you.
We
Really
weren't planning on this, but
right?
it's fun. Yeah. Constance, are you on that? Here, let me put this is me on. If you're not on Instagram, then this is me on Instagram. And this is, let's see, should I give my profile? This is my profile. I have a page on Facebook. I have a group. Let's just find me. Theresa M. It's Theresa M. Croft. You know why? Because there's another Theresa Croft that's a singer, and she's all over the place. So, Constance, DM me, and I'll see about making sure you know when that webinar is. And I would even, what I'm really doing, Michelle, I'm even giving like 30-minute consultations. If someone buys it, to really get them started right away, so they don't just have this course. What do I do? So
yeah.
But you know why I'm so passionate, Constance? And Michelle, I really believe in people's voice. And I really believe now more than ever, we need your voice because your voice is the much needed salt to a world that's lost its appetite for a loving meal at the Father. Your voice is light in a world that thinks darkness is normal and struggles with enmity and conflict. Your voice carries not the gory story, but the glory story. So with your voice, with a podcast, with just using video, guess what? You get to serve the person you once were. It's not for, oh, look at me, I got a podcast. No, every podcast I'm thinking, who can I serve? How can my guest and me serve the person they once were? And by the way, coming up Monday at, I got to promo this. Monday at, I think it's 12. It's at 1. I have an interview with someone who was on Netflix, and we had her on GPA leadership meeting. That's how I found about her. But she has a message of transformation. So that's what if you want to be on my podcast and you got transformation, those are the kind of stories. Why? Because that's serving the person you once were. Some of my favorite interview podcasts were with Michelle, and here we are once a week. Is that just too cool? Slow me down. Pull the reins back, Theresa.
I love it. I think, when we share, it's just letting people know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Right? When we keep things to ourselves, then people think like, I'm the only one who feels this way, right? But when you share your story or things you've gone through, even, we talk about, was it Kayla? I can't remember her last name.
Kayla Cardona.
Kayla Cardona.
And she wasn't saved when she was on the Netflix show. But she's still, even not saved, they were.
Yeah. But how God is using her story to bring him so much glory and the redemption. And so everyone has something in regards.
And you know what? She's starting a coaching group now. I mean, that's just, she's on fire for Jesus and she wants to help. She sees the women that she can serve. So I think it's great. I'm excited. I'm excited about all my interviews, but
I love it. I love it. And I love what you're doing, Theresa, and just for your heart and the impact that you're having by helping other people really find their voice, find ways to be able to get that voice out there, right? Through podcasting and the AI, and just, you have a gift. And so many are blessed because you've been obedient. You're just stepping forward and saying, Lord, like, here I am. How do you want to use me? And the way that you serve And you're just making such an impact. So
it's so excited about that. And, you can have a podcast and it can turn into a powerful YouTube channel, by the way. I share that too. You want to get into YouTube, well, start with a podcast.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I love the conversations, Theresa.
Yeah, I know. We talk strategy. I go to Michelle for strategy oftentimes. So we love marketing, but I think our heart is we love to see women succeed. We love to see women fulfill their dreams. You can go back to your story. What did you love to do when you were little? And oftentimes it's tied to what you're doing now or what you dream of doing now. When I was little, I would climb up the steps of this old house and I'd get to the top and I wanted to preach, and I was Catholic. And then later we moved and there were no stairs. So I found an apple cart and I got on top of an apple cart and preached to the birds and the bees and the apple trees. What do I do now? Every day I open up an Apple device. I'm Apple, sorry. I mean, I'm talking to a camera on Apple. I open up my Apple phone. Does God not just wire something? So think about that. I think that's a great start to really understanding and finding your identity. Because that's from God. Now, Michelle, if someone says, oh man, you just don't know, girl, I had a terrible childhood. But that's a place for you to heal. And then you do have a story, because once again, you get to serve the person you once were. You went through the glory story and now you have a glory story. Or you're going through the transition. Like I'm still going through a transition of healing from an abusive marriage. When I get healed, I will speak from my scars. And I'm not going to be afraid to get on that apple cart or a Girl Power Alliance stage and have a constructive talk. Because, God calls us in a marriage to heal each other, not kill each other. Someone needed that one word today. God calls you to heal each other, not kill each other. Not for abuse. God's not for abuse. Okay? Because, the religion says, no, you can't get a divorce. But if you're being abused, you sure better pack your bags or pack them on all around the house. And when it's time he steps out the house, you get your kids and grab them, and you grab those bags you hid all over the thing, and you get out. Constance, do you have a story to share? I just look at your picture. I know you have a story to share.
Yes.
Those on the podcast, we're talking to people that are commenting in on Facebook from all over.
Yeah. Speaking of that story to share, and mentioning it's not Radiant Speaker Academy anymore. It's the Kingdom Speaker Academy.
Thank you. It's the Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to bring that up because I signed up for it last year and then bailed out.
Okay.
But I know that the Lord wants me to do that. There's still some insecurity and concerns around that, but I know that because I have that is why I need to do it. I just need to press into that and figure out where that's coming from, because I know. Because
that's going to flow out into your business.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, this is the stage, but your voice does need to be on stages to encourage women in faith-filled business. That's a calling. You've got it all over you, girl.
Even if it's not staged, even if it's just to overcome some of those blocks that I have it and release those. I'm excited for the growth. I think if anything that I've gotten from Girl Power Alliance is I have fallen in love with growth.
And that's good.
The Lord is just highlighting how much he can work in our lives when we just surrender to growth and we pursue it intentionally. So if you're someone who knows, or maybe you've been feeling kind of that draw and that pull, the Lord has even put on your heart that he has more for you. There's something that happens inside of you when you feel like there's more. It's almost an unsettled feeling of, know that you're not where you're supposed to be. It's because the Lord is calling you to more. He is calling you to growth. And so I would just say, listen and pursue it intentionally. Girl Power Alliance is one of the best places, in my opinion, for kingdom growth. If you're looking for that, definitely reach out to myself or Theresa and we can get you more information. But man, it is so worth it.
Yeah.
And you might be and your life.
And you might be a leader in yourself and you're looking just maybe for compensation to help women. It's for that too, professional women. And at the same time, it's a structure where you don't have to wear all these hats. You know, and you could take some time to get a drink of water too. You know, us leaders, you leaders, sometimes you give and give, and you're not, you know, and you don't have anyone to pour into you. I thank you, by the way, for those women that are watching this live or recorded. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your ministry. Thank you for your business. Well, this is what this podcast is all about: is cheering you on to follow what God's told you. And you know, it's not comfortable. To me, it's like God's got his thumb on you. And you're like, I know, God, but this is so hard. Or I know, God, I just feel like a failure. Or I know, God, I'm 60 and I lost so much time. No. Learn
Oh,
the dreams of the 60-year-old and Michelle, the very successful hour-old, you know?
I like to imagine it more as, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can feel like a thumb, but I like to imagine more as like the eagles, like the story of the
Oh,
eagle
good.
and the nest with the eaglets, right? And the mother eagles like pushing them out of the nest, and then the eagles are like, "What are you doing? I'm so
It's
comfortable in
so
this nest,"
good.
right? But man, like the Lord loves you too much to keep you in the nest,
Yeah.
right? So He's gonna nudge you out because He wants you to fly, right?
Mhm.
So I know
Mhm.
that sounds cheesy, but like maybe
No.
that's somebody that you're feeling uncomfortable because there's so much more in you, and
Yeah.
so
It's so
much that,
good.
that the Lord wants you to experience, like the
Yeah.
fullness of what He has for you is on the other side of this discomfort. So
Mhm.
press in and allow the process to happen, because
Yeah.
man, it's so worth it. It's so worth it on the other side.
And if you want more talk like this, it is faith and business, finding your voice and identity. If you want us to talk more about this, you know, we're just, that's our heart, but we want to make sure we keep it in clarity with trusting God. But if you like want more marketing tips, AI tips, I think it would be fun to be able to share that, don't you, Michelle?
For sure, let's do it. I mean, we need to just schedule a
Let's just do
full-on
it and not
business.
worry.
Mhm,
Yeah. Because there's enough. Okay, this is the thing. There's enough self-help out there.
mhm,
And sometimes you got to stop reading the self-help and just do it.
mhm,
You're getting yourself tied up. Well, I got to read this book before I do it. There's enough self-help. Go read a novel, a clean novel, and just let your mind reboot. Can I say that, Michelle? You know,
mhm,
I was struggling going to sleep because I would get my cortisol levels would get all flared up because
mhm,
I'm always thinking I'm just about to launch 2 courses. And, you know, I got the best advice from my friend. We do mental lives on Instagram. And she was showing the scientific reasons of benefits of reading fiction. Karen Kingsbury, Karen Kingsbury, Francine Rivers. I'm just giving you some clean authors because you could say Christian and not make your mind. Go read. I mean, now I read a little bit before I go to bed and boom, instead of, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I sure got that. I got this idea. I got to write it down. You know, just
yeah.
me. Sorry.
I had one of those moments last night. I think all entrepreneurs entrepreneurs, but like we'll have the nights where we're just, and what I've been doing, I love that idea of like kind of just turning to something where it's just like not related
Yeah.
at all. Just the Lord gave us things like that to enjoy, right? But one of the things I've also been doing is just imagining myself, just not even imagining, but I'm just like talking to the Lord and just like seeing him more as
Mhm.
my father, like the like Papa God, like more kind of that like father,
Yes.
intimate child father relationship of
Mm,
like, I just want to hand this to you, Lord. Like I don't even,
mm,
I know that you have it in control. Like I know that here I am trying to spin all these things in my mind. I just want to give it back to you because right now I don't even want to think about it. Like
wow.
because I know that you already have it purposed and planned, and I'm just gonna give it right back
Mm,
to you, Lord, while I go to sleep because
so
all
good.
of this stewing, I know isn't going to do anything. Can I just
Wow.
give it to you, God? Like, but imagining myself actually just like giving it to God while I'm sleeping. Like, Lord, I'm just gonna give it to you, and we can kind of talk about it again tomorrow. But
So
like,
good.
there's something about that that just gives me a lot of peace, knowing
Yeah.
I can spend all this time stewing and stressing and spinning it in my mind, but it's like, why? Because the
No.
Lord's directing, and He's already gone before me, and He's gonna give me,
Mm,
direction and wisdom and all these things. So I'm just gonna give it back to
so
you while I
good.
sleep, right?
Amen. That's so good. So you're watching us live on video, but we're also we're waiting for Apple approval, but we are on Spotify as a podcast and on Google Podcasts. So we appreciate those of you who are watching. Hey, if you enjoyed this, review us, send a review, share this video with someone. You may have a marketing girlfriend or boyfriend that you want to kind of tag up and really go after this together. I know Michelle and I would love to be your coaches through a podcast, through a live video, because that's what makes us light up. What does make me light up is just being able to see women take advantage of what's there and really use their voice. You can find your voice, you can share your voice, and you can market your voice. So, yep. Michelle, it's always so great. I love you, girl.
Love you too. Thanks for chatting.
Yes, thanks for listening to Faith in Business. We'll talk to you in the next episode.